Hello, welcome to the video. This is a voiceover, just giving you a warning, so I can't really stop and explain things too much. I might slow things down, maybe, not entirely sure. But obviously, this is a video on how to build curves. Now, right now, obviously, I'm terraforming, and I'll sort of tell you why I'm terraforming, because this is not part of the tutorial. This right here is to give you an idea about how I learned how to how I learned how to build curves, and how a lot of people have. A lot of people have done this, which is just terraforming. This is one of the OG ways, I guess, of learning how to build curves, and probably still is the predominant way people learn how to build curves. There's not really any other method to building curves. This is pretty much it. There's not too much else that you can really do to learn how to build curves. Let me skip ahead to where I'm terraforming again. There we go. I gotta do it right there. I'm watching the video right now. I have my menu open, so I have to skip ahead. There we go. So obviously, this is a very good way of learning how to build curves. In fact, this is probably one of my favorite ways. It teaches you how to terraform and you get to do curves. It's a very effective, easy, and fun way of doing it because you actually get results very quickly. You have your terraforming and you get to learn how to build curves. So you get a whole lot of things happening at one time. It gives you a good opportunity to be able to build something that you get to show off to people, but then you also get to learn something that is a bit more advanced, like building curves. That's one reason why I think it's still a very good option. And that's one reason why I'm showing it in this video, is because this is still a very good option for learning how to build curves. Just terraforming. It's truthfully very, very good. But many times whenever we're learning how to build curves, we run into an issue with trying to learn how to build curves and we just don't know what they look like. I remember whenever I started, I'm sure some of you can relate right now. I'm sure some of you could have related a few years ago whenever you were learning how to build curves. That's whenever you're learning, if you don't know what a curve looks like, it becomes pretty difficult to actually build a curve. Because how do you build something that you've barely ever seen before? Obviously that's a pretty big issue. If you don't have anything to compare your curves to, it can be pretty hard. I was lucky enough that whenever I learned, I actually terraformed with a buddy of mine and a couple other things too. I terraformed before that, but when I really learned how to build curves, I built a very massive mountainside with a buddy, and one of the people in the world actually would critique the terraforming to make sure it looked good, and also someone else's terraforming as well, not just terraforming but world. So I want you to do an extra good job. So because of that world, that's pretty much how I learned, which obviously, as mentioned, it was terraforming, and it definitely was a very effective method for learning how to build curves, especially since I could have someone to tell me whether or not they liked my curves. So if they didn't like it, or if they told me to redo a section, then I would, and sooner or later I would get it correct. So obviously that gives me a massive opportunity to be able to get a whole lot done and learn a lot about building curves. Now obviously, if I didn't have anyone to help me learn how to build curves or to critique me, it becomes pretty difficult. Obviously, you could have people critique your terraforming in like Discord servers and stuff like that. That's one thing that I really like about the Minecraft building community now, is you can go on Discord and ask people for help, but some people don't really want to do that, or some people don't even know how to build curves that on Discord. So it can be pretty difficult to learn. And that's why I created this method. So now I'm starting in on the method, of course. And it's a little bit of an odd method. And that's why I had to explain the old method first. Because this new method is for you to learn so you can forget it. Now, right now I'm building a curve, not a circle. So for this one, I'm just sort of picking relatively 50-50 on there. So if we actually look at this, you'll notice that the green on the first line, which is the shorter line, the green on the emerald on the shorter line is roughly sort of symmetrical to the green on the other side. Like, let's say if I put it right in the middle, it's going to be right. Well, actually, I'm putting it right in the middle right now. So I put it right in the middle on the short line. Then if I fly up, well, now I'm replacing it, but if I fly up and go straight in the middle on the other side, that's about 50% on the short side and 50% on the long side. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's sort of like the ratio I generally go for. But truthfully, you can pretty much do whatever ratio you want. If it's a really long curve and you want it to be have a certain like effect or look to it, then of course you can make the ratio longer by having, let's say, if you're 50% in, then you're only going to be 25% in on the other side. And that's pretty nice for that kind of stuff. Now, for the ratio that I'm talking about, if you have green close to the beginning of the short side, which I can't really show you since, voiceover, but sort of like the first one I did, that one isn't straight in the middle, so it's a little bit to the left, so that's like closer to the beginning of the short line. And the other one sort of looks like it's closer to the corner. So you start from the corner when you're counting, if you do count anything. So if it's like 50% down, then you start from the corner, or not 30%. If you go from 25%, then you start from the corner. So hopefully you sort of understand. You can sort of see what I mean by this right here, actually. So see, this one's really close, and then the other one is really close to the corner. So hopefully that makes sense. If it's really close to the beginning, then it's going to be really close to the corner on the other side. Now I'm going to highlight everything in diamond. That is the curve. Now, first I need to actually replace it because there we go. So that is the curve that we've made, and we made our curve literally by building straight lines. Now, hopefully that makes sense. And I'm going to be doing another example. This time it's going to be a half circle. So obviously this method doesn't give you a absolutely perfect curve. It can, but it generally doesn't because we're doing it more of a simplified method. But it gives you a really good foundation for building a curve because, of course, you can do this at any size as long as you know how to build straight lines diagonally. And as you sort of saw me do as well, if you mark out the points with like emerald or other blocks, or really any other block, you can just pretty much walk straight forward and place blocks wherever your feet are, really. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, as you can see, we end up fixing it afterwards. So obviously I've been building curves for a long time. It should, if you guys put a little extra work into it, you should be able to get your curves look as good as mine, but it gives you a really good foundation to work off of for sure. Now for this one, this is going to be that's one of my mates. I don't know why that showed up on the screen, but whatever. Oh wait, that actually just might have been my screen. I don't even know. It said one of my buddies is streaming. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. If you did, oh well. Anyway, get back to what I was doing. So as you can see here, I'm just sort of like counting where the center is. I marked it with 2 because you can pretty much have it within like a 3-block distance away from it. But for this one, I like the first one. I just want to keep it there. I think this will be good for the curve. So now that one's 1 block out. So it's going to be 2 blocks out on that side. I know that's a little bit odd to think about, but see, there's 2 there and there's 2 here. See, they're pretty much the same distance away. It's odd. I'm not entirely sure why this happens, but I'm pretty sure this is the correct way of doing it. Okay, never mind. I know why this is happening. It's because it's only half of the circle. I mean, half of the quarter. So it's like 12%. So that means that there would be another line on the other side that would sort of cross right in the middle. I think I end up showing this later. Hopefully I do. Anyway, as you can see, I just build a straight line right there. Now this is the part where I finish it. So this is why it's a little bit off. It's a 1 block off whenever you're counting. So you don't start from the corner, you start 1 over from the corner. So that corner block doesn't count really. It's very odd that it doesn't count. It feels weird to like skip it, but yeah, you do skip that one and you count 1 over. So if it's 1 at the beginning, it's going to be 1 over from the corner, then 1, then you place your block. Or if it's 2 over, then it's going to be skip the corner, then 1, 2, then the block. Hopefully that makes sense. So now I'm doing it again, but this time I'm counting from, see, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if I go over here, you'll notice I start from, right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. I miscount. I think I miscount. Okay, no, I didn't. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, so then I sort of just walk in a straight line and I just place blocks wherever I think it's going to be, which is really nice. That helps out a lot. Now you can see that the circle is pretty much done. And you can do this pretty much at any size. I know it's a little odd to build diagonally, so building a line diagonally is a bit weird, but you can pretty much do it how I just did there and just sort of walk in a straight line. As you can see, that's what I'm doing right now to attempt to edit it a few times, but Not really a point because it's such a small circle anyway that it doesn't really matter at the moment. So there we go. And this is our circle right here. This is pretty much the completed circle, though I need to actually fix the block I accidentally removed. There we go. And I think I end up fixing one block because this did not seem right. There we go. So as you can see, I pretty much just smooth out one block and now it's a perfect circle. Well, it will be a perfect circle. I'm about to just copy it over. So as you can tell, this method is pretty cool because it allows you to be able to build a perfect circle no matter what, really. No matter how big you go, you'll be able to build a perfect circle. Now, obviously you have to smooth it out afterward, but it's very useful for sure. I could definitely see this being useful for beginners. Now, obviously, pro builders and people who really know how to build curves very well, this may end up wasting your time. However, for beginners, I think this could be amazing for beginners. This is crazy. This could be absolutely amazing for beginners. Anyway, this is pretty much it. Hope you had a great, wonderful, sublime day, and God bless.